All right, let's talk about a hidden secret in the world of color matching. It's something that lives deep inside the pigments themselves, and honestly, getting this right is absolutely critical. We're going to show you exactly how.
So let me start by asking you a question, and be honest. When you're picking a color, are you just looking at a sample chip? Are you choosing it based only on that beautiful shade you see?
If you are, hey, you're not alone. It's what most people do. But that one simple habit, that is the #1 reason that color matching fails out in the real world. That perfect shade you approved in the lab suddenly fades, or it yellows, or just looks dull during production. And man, is that a frustrating and expensive problem to have?
So in this first part, we're going to dig into why this is such a common mistake, but more importantly, we're going to show you how to start thinking like a pro to get it right every single time.
Okay, here's the secret. The whole thing comes down to this. Not all pigments are created equal, not even close. If you really want to master color, you have to understand that they belong to two completely different families, and each one has its own personality, its own strengths, and its own rulebook.
So let's meet these two families, shall we? Because once you get their core identities, you'll stop seeing pigments as just pretty colors, and you'll start seeing them for what they really are, high-performance tools for a specific job.
First up, we've got the organic pigments. Now these are carbon-based compounds. The way to think of them is like the flashy, brilliant artists of the color world. They create these stunningly bright, clean shades. But just like a sensitive artist, they can be a little temperamental. So what does that artist personality really mean? Well, their strengths are just incredible. You get intense brightness and a really strong tinting strength, which means a tiny bit goes a very long. But their limitations are huge. They don't handle heat or light very well, and they can sometimes migrate or bloom, which means they actually move to the surface of the plastic over time. Not good.
And then, on the complete other side of the spectrum, we have the inorganic pigments. These are mineral-based. So if the organics are the flashy artists, think of these guys as the reliable, stoic engineers. They might not be the life of the party, but they are built to last. And this engineer profile is basically the polar opposite of our artist. The strengths? Amazing heat and light resistance. They have high opacity, and they will never migrate. The trade-off is pretty clear, though. You get lower brightness, weaker tinting strength, and a much more limited palette of colors to work with.
Okay, so we've met the players. Now it's time for the showdown. Let's put them right next to each other and make their differences totally, completely impossible to ignore.
And this is the whole point right here. You're not just choosing a color, you're choosing a performance profile. These two families are playing completely different games with completely different rule books.
I mean, just look at this comparison. It's night and day. You need a bright, eye-popping color. Organic is your go-to. But if that product is going to sit in the sun or go through a high-heat process, that same beautiful pigment is going to fail miserably. For high-temp jobs, inorganic is pretty much your only safe bet. And check out the cost. That amazing performance from organic, it comes with a higher price tag. It is always, always a trade-off.
Okay, so this isn't just some boring textbook theory. Let's see how these different personalities actually play out in the real world, where choosing wrong has massive consequences for your production line.
Let's imagine a really common scenario. You're coloring ABS plastic, and the temperature is cranked up 40 degrees Celsius. If you picked a standard organic red for that job, it's going to get cooked. It'll lose its punch, turn yellowish, and end up looking like this sad brownish mess. A total failure. But the inorganic iron oxide? Rock solid. The color doesn't shift at all. The only catch is, the shade you start with is just naturally duller. Or hey, here's another great example. We've all been there. You want to make a nice light pastel color. Well, because organic pigments are transparent, if you use them by themselves, the color can look really blotchy and uneven. But when you bring in an opaque inorganic pigment like titanium dioxide, it gives you this solid, smooth base to work with, and the result is that beautiful, uniform finish you were actually.
Okay, so now you get the theory. You've seen the proof in the real world. Let's lock this knowledge in. Think of this as the professional's rulebook, your go-to guide for making the right choice every single time.
These 5 rules right here are your roadmap to 0 rejections. Want those brilliant clean shades? You have to start with an organic base. Making pastels, you need that inner support and opacity. For anything that's going outdoors where it's going to get hit by sun and weather, inorganic pigments are not just a good idea, they're compulsory. And for really demanding stuff like car parts, you need a tough, inorganic dominant blend. It's really all about using the right tool for the right job.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final, really powerful shift in perspective.
The goal is no longer just to see color. You see, the big lesson from all of this is actually pretty simple, but it changes everything. To truly master color, you first have to understand a pigment's character. You have to look right past that pretty color swatch and ask yourself, how is this pigment going to behave under pressure, under heat, under light, in this specific application? That, right there, is the real art and science of color matching.
So you've got it now. You have this powerful new framework for understanding how pigments behave. But let me leave you with a final thought. Knowing their personality is one thing, but how do you actually measure their true strength or their opacity? How do you know for a fact that one batch is stronger than the last? Well, that's a whole other secret and a topic for another day. Thanks for watching.
What you learn on day 3. Organic pigment behavior. Inorganic pigment behavior. Strength, winner, stability, heat and light impact, pigment selection logic. Tomorrow on day 4, the danger topic, pigment strength and opacity, TI2 quality difference, black strength control. Master this and avoid over strength and opacity failure. Like and subscribe this channel. Thank you.